So do you drip your content out once a week, once every period, once every couple of weeks, or do you open up your content all at one time so that your members have access to everything? Well, there are a couple of, pros and cons to this. So I get a lot of folks saying they want to auto drip their content because their payment plans are, they pay once a month, and let's say it's 4 months, and they don't want to give away all their content. I would say don't worry so much about that. Should we be so lucky that people are stealing our stuff? That's like the best case scenario. And if you have that problem, then deal with it when you have that. But when you let people get all the content, one of the things that you'll find is someone who's very motivated, they're very excited about why they purchased your program will come up and they'll almost like binge it. They'll come up and they'll run through it, and they'll go through the first one, the second one, the third one, very excited. Now, there's a problem with that. Just because they've gone through all your content doesn't mean they're implementing it. Now, I'll give you an example. I'm learning Italian, so I've purchased Rocket Italian. It's actually a pretty good program. And I, especially at the beginning, was very excited. I'm very motivated, and I'm still moving through it. But when you're learning a language, you can't just come up and go lesson 1 through 5 or 1 through 6 and absorb it. You just can't do that. So, in their case, they do quizzes and things like that, and I've got to go back and do it. But there is a tendency for students to come up, and again, they get all excited, and then the first other thing happens, and then they put that on the back burner, and they may or may not go back to it. The nice thing about auto dripping it is that you force people to focus on one thing, get it done, and then go to the next thing. And then if you do have a quiz, or if you do have something that validates that they've learned it, you've done them a good justice. You really deliver on them because you've gotten them past this first hurdle, this first block, that they need to learn on the way to where you're headed. Now, the other thing that you want to consider as you auto drip the content is that it ends up being motivational. So if you give people a ton of stuff, you also kind of risk overwhelming people. When you give them dripped content, you may have some people that want to go faster, and maybe you can figure out one-on-one how to fix that. But what ends up happening is you pace people out. If you tell them, look, it's going to take 8 weeks to get through this program, and then you give it to them once a week, and then, if they fall behind, you send them emails. If they're moving along at the right pace, you send them encouraging emails. Hey, way to go. You're keeping along with the course. People in the back of their mind say, hey, look, a couple weeks ago, I committed to doing this. And you're almost calling them to task. You're keeping them honest to what it is that they committed to themselves to do. And so in that case, you're seen as the instructor that's taking care of delivering on what it is that they bought from you. And so they're learning. And again, as cool as it is to sell a course, what's even better is to have someone finish the course, get through all the content, get all fired up because, hey, I did it, and then purchase something else. Now, at that point, you really ought to have an upsell, something that they can purchase afterwards, and especially a program that comes up and requests referrals, testimonials, things like that, so that generates more business for you. So that's kind of the discussion between opening up your content and auto dripping it out. Depending on the complexity of what it is you're teaching, it's something you ought to think about. So that's what I have to say for today.